Most of you don't actually know how to talk about yourselves, and it's costing you referrals, interviews, and your credibility. And that right there is how high performers end up being ignored. If your explanation of who you are takes too much effort to understand, then you're gonna get cut.
So in this video, I'm gonna do 3 things. I'll explain why high performers keep getting overlooked. Then I'll break down what decision makers are actually listening for. Then I'll give you a simple structure. The structure is called HOT. And you can use HOT immediately to position yourself more clearly, because
It's not that you don't know what you do. You're just explaining yourself in a way that makes people mentally check out. Typically, we as high performers default to the same 3 things every single time. Our education, whether that be degrees or certifications, or titles that we're especially proud of, or the company that we work for or formerly worked for if that company is worth name dropping. That is not a strategy. That is straight up panic. You're reaching for those facts because those facts feel somewhat safe. And they also create zero leverage. When someone asks you to tell me about yourself, here's what's happening when you start talking. They're not impressed. They're not amused. They're not confused either. They are trying to figure out, why should I care? Point blank, period. They're trying to figure out what problem you... Okay, I love you. I'll call you back.
Hey, let me fix.
They're trying to figure out, what problem do you actually solve? And when they can't answer that quickly, they just move on. So you got 2 people going for the same job. One person, they're describing everything in terms of tasks, talking about the meetings they run, the updates that they're putting in Jira or a CRM, and they're talking about emails that they're sending for like status reports. That's the person who thinks in terms of tasks. The other person, they're describing everything in terms of decision making. They are talking about how they help leaders make decisions, what they are bringing to the surface and facilitating resolution on. Now, you tell me, one of those people is going to get ignored. Which one is it? All right, so the next time you're thinking about describing yourself in a humble way, I want you to know you're actually doing yourself a disservice. You're describing yourself like you're just general labor. Nobody's looking for that. The market is looking for someone who can make judgment calls, can come in and organize the chaos that exists in all of these companies, whether we like to admit it or not. So yeah, you might have been able to skate past just a little generic tell me about yourself 10 years ago, but we're in a much, much different climate. It doesn't work anymore. There are fewer humans. And so for the ones that are left in the room, the humans left in the room, we need you to be able to make faster decisions and present yourself as such. When someone asks, tell me about yourself, they're asking, can I trust how you operate when things are unclear, chaotic, messy, all over the place, unpredictable? And I want you to remember this acronym HOT, because that's how we're going to answer this question, tell me about yourself, without rambling, without oversharing, and without making people have to work too hard to figure out where to place you. H is for history, the pattern of how you show up across roles and the role you end up playing when things get complicated. That's what helps someone understand your professional lane without you explaining every single step from your first job at Starbucks.
So while H shows the pattern you bring, O shows the outcomes that pattern creates.
If H is about your patterns, O is about the opportunities that you've had where you can demonstrate how your patterns solve problems. Got that? Let's keep going. O is about what people rely on you for, not what you're responsible for on paper. Yes, we're talking about that gray other duties as assigned area. That's the area. That's where the opportunities are. We're talking about the problems that tend to typically land in your lap. The areas where people just trust your judgment, where if you get involved, we automatically know there's going to be improvement. And when you talk about yourself this way, people don't have to guess how you add value. As you're speaking and answering, tell me about yourself, they are actually picturing you solving those same types of problems in their environment in that particular role. And that's why they would bring you in. Not because of your certifications, your education, or you worked for some reputable company before. This is why they bring you in.
This last part is about showing where you fit, not talking more about yourself trying to convince anyone.
So T is for targeting. Targeting is all about showing intention. I once spoke with a recruiter who said that one reason why they don't bring in candidates, and the candidates don't even realize it, is because they don't really seem like they want the job. And I don't want that to be you. So your targeting needs to be explicitly stated. And here's how you do it. Your targeting is where you demonstrate that you understand why this role exists right now. You understand what pressure it's meant to relieve. Because let's just keep it a buck. This company didn't put out a job rec because you have a bill to pay. They put it out because there's a problem that requires solving. And they are looking for the person who understands the pressure and that problem to solve it. They want to hear in your answer that you know what the team or organization is actually dealing with, that this particular position is going to solve. So instead of you sounding like you're applying everywhere and this is just some like default speech that you give, you need to show how your experience lines up with this moment. And that's what's going to make this conversation feel relevant instead of generic and make you memorable. And when you put all of those together, you get a hot answer. You're not just telling a story. You're helping the other person hire you, refer you, trust you. Here's what that looks like in practice. I have over 15 years of experience in traditional project management as well as the agile space. That does include titles like Scrum Master, Consultant, Transformation Consultant. I'm typically brought in when a team is stalled, unfocused, missing delivery, either due to deadlines or due to usable value for the organization. So I'm brought in to stabilize those kinds of issues. I also live in the gray area a bit, facilitating discussions with leaders, bringing data, and helping them to get to a decision at various levels of leadership. And that's actually what made sense to me about this role. It seemed like it was less about processes and more about stabilization, which is my specialty, in addition to igniting teams and helping them move with confidence. That's the type of work that I'm consistently brought in to do. I definitely want to learn more about this role and how I can bring that to this organization. That's going to do, but I didn't ramble. So if you're ready to stop being ignored, download the Hot Guide. And if you need even more help, consider coming to the Corporate Identity Lab. There's a lot of work that happens in there beyond introducing yourself.